So I'm gonna give this some time to refresh. Give people time to come on in. That way they can join us on this adventure.
I'm actually looking forward to this. Seeing what people want to talk about.
All right.
Yeah.
If people will really listen.
No, there'll be plenty of people.
Yeah.
We
We
got
just
Brandon.
need 15 people, and those 15 people all what matters.
Like this.
We got Brandon.
Yeah, we got Brandon.
And maybe
I
Benjamin.
mean, there's a lot of people who are going to be listening to this.
Yeah.
All right. This is
That's the test.
Yeah, that was the original one. This is
Sound
the
working good?
one.
That's good.
All right. So
I hate the sound of my voice.
Yeah, that's why I'm not gonna listen to it ever. Because I had to do a video project and like they were like, make sure to listen to it. And I kid you not, I was like just listening to it because I was like, I can't look at myself while I hear myself.
Watch out, Sam. Watch
It
out.
sounds so high, okay? It's like up here, and I expect it to be like here.
Mine's always deeper.
I have a deep voice.
I'm not used to this.
You might want to.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Let's see.
I just realized nobody can see my hands. This is not gonna go well.
That's why I was kind of. That's one of the things about the podcast I was kind of worried about was like face cam because I'm like,
I speak with my hands though.
and I'm gonna be doing this a lot. People can see me doing it.
you all know how I feel. You know how much I move when I'm talking. I'm always putting in action.
You're like a Team Skull. You're like,
That's why they're my favorite
going?
team.
Yeah.
People probably walking in like, what the
like
heck
I'm
are they
like a
talking
completely
about?
calm guy until like I hit something that I like and also I'm like,
Oh man,
listen, focus. Listen, quotation marks. Oh, that's gonna suck. I quotation marks so much.
It's okay. I'll make sure there's a quotation mark for Sam.
like don't even like you know how they have closed captioning? Like don't even put closed captioning. Just have like a quotation marks, not even what I'm saying, just quotations. Shut up.
Can't hear it on stream. It's okay.
That's a dog, don't worry
Nobody's
about
here yet. Hopefully we can entertain some people and get our views and opinions out there.
Dang, you make it sound like we're about to convert them to a different like political.
So have you ever considered the political party Force of Will? Let me tell you why it's up and rising.
God,
coming
that
cult.
image looks so
We're
horrible.
not gonna say that. You can't say that.
Someone's watching. Someone.
Oh, hey.
Someone's here.
Someone's
Hello,
here.
Sylveon.
Oh, Silvio?
Team
Play sounds
Sylveon,
better.
Ron Bryson.
Okay. I need you to explain why the wrong Bryson. I'm confused.
Wait a minute.
Is it the wrong Bryson?
Let's keep discussing with the Force of Will stuff here. But apparently we do have the wrong Bryson. I'm sorry, Bryson, but you've been fired from this point on.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I think I might know who Team Sylveon is, but I won't say things because I'm not a tattler.
Let us know when you're ready to go, man. We can start.
I mean, we've already started. We're just waiting for people to join. That
Yeah.
way, when we get a sizable amount of people in there, we can start talking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it wasn't who I thought it was. Okay.
I think it might be somebody else named Bryson.
What is that?
It is. Well, the screen is looking pretty blank aside from the picture of Mercurius that I have here. Once people start coming in, we can start discussing those things. So it's gonna be quiet for a little bit, I guess. So yeah, it is Frankie. I guess while we wait, so do you think that the white Sherry list is gonna wreck Minneapolis and London again?
Yes.
No, absolutely,
No,
not.
absolutely
People are
not.
playing. I just feel that like I honestly I still think that Lumia is gonna get first this time around, just because it didn't know the meta enough. But now that it does, it knows how to play around Sherry a little bit better. It knows how to play against Sherry, and now that seeing the white list, the tempo aggro isn't gonna work as well.
So
as they're expecting.
I have a question. Like, with the right Sherry list, like, what is Lumia's game plan going into that matchup? What does she have to do to come out on top?
All right. So step 1, wait 3 turns. Step 2, play Rachel. Step 3, go from there.
Rachel isn't everything though.
You're
Not everything.
I mean, but it make it this like that one card has turned that ruler from being like S tier to like X tier. You cannot
Nah,
sit
she
here.
went from A tier to like S tier.
Yeah. She
I can
wasn't
agree to
tier.
that, but at the same time,
She was like tier 1.2.
she doesn't go in every deck.
True.
Yeah.
Well, the base requirement for running her is you have to be running wind, and if you're not running wind, then
Why are you playing
you're already
competitively?
going uphill. But I do think that there are successful non-wind decks that are going to be emerging soon.
Kick.
Shit, mine has wind in it.
Okay, Shayla's gonna come out of nowhere and take a GP.
I actually think a black, white, blue Shayla could actually be pretty deadly.
That's what I'm building.
Don't lie to me because that's what I'm rebuilding.
So what about that like black, white, red, Scarlet, right?
Black, white, red, scarlet.
Okay, hold up. First of all, we gotta get your hands on a Scarlet because I promise you, there's gonna be that one Scarlet at a tournament that no one's gonna see coming.
We know who has a Scarlet.
We know
We
personally,
know 2 people who have Scarlet.
but here's the thing: they don't have the deck built.
One of them does.
That's cool. I didn't know he built the deck, but it's just that like here's another thing: like who do you guys think are sleeper rulers in this meta right now? Like who you think can like come out of nowhere and take a GP besides Lumia and Sherry?
Kirik.
Yeah.
Kirik's like a pretty close
Amio.
multiple time.
Okay, so
Yeah.
here's the question: why did you say Amio? Like why do you think Amio could be a sleeper?
The fact that you can, if they don't run red, it's really hard to get rid of imperishable. So you can just constantly flip. Now that can run into problems because she's only 3/3 on her backside. But if you have a couple of stones, like 2 stones, it's a 7/7. 7/7s with what is it, flying and drain.
She has flying, drain, and imperishable.
Imperishable, yeah.
Think about it. You have the stones out. You get her additions out. She's gonna stay like that.
Yeah. And then the fact that every time if you kill her through battle, she's gonna more than likely gain that life unless you're first strike. She goes back. Next turn, flip her again, get another. You drew for turn, which means you have another card in hand, and you're also putting something from your deck onto the board that costs 3 or less. So a lot of people use like Lapis, Usurper, to just because you get that out, then you can search for a 1-drop spell. So you get like Fate.
Flourishing Hope is the card you can
Flourishing
go
Hope. You can get a
False Peace.
False Peace. And what's the one that strips abilities?
Separation of Fates.
Separation of Fates. Those are the biggest 3s that you can get. You can also, of course, get like a Scorn,
Final Battle.
Final Battle. You can get like
Thought
a lot-
Control.
Thought is the best. Get rid of that Rachel. Thought.
No, it's just the whole fact of the matter is just like, you know,
Yeah.
we're entering a new change and stuff like that to where we as the players and people in the community are trying to, you know, adapt to what's out there. And, you know, we know that there's going to be at least 2 rulers that are going to be deadly in the community, which is going to be, like we said, Sherry and Lumia. But from my perspective, I would like to see, you know, new cards out there, like, you know, see a Kirik or see a Shayla, at least like something different in the meta game, because after time spent in which those 2 rulers have gotten so much support and have become so much deadly to the game as it is right now, that I feel that everybody at this point has got to step up their game to at least, you know, stand a chance.
Yeah. I feel like one that might possibly have a chance is Scarlet. I feel like Scarlet can just, the fact that she can, it's hard to flip her whenever you do get to flip her. Besides her low defense, she's really strong. I mean, first strike, swiftness, imperishable, precision, and the fact that she can restand herself once per turn really makes her strong. So besides the defense, like she can just, and then she can also bump her own attack. And was it?
Can we just be 100% honest in looking at Scarlet? Was she just meant to kill Tree? Like, we just know that was that card was just slowly built to
Have
kill
you
that.
ever hated Alan Ross's foresight? I know I have. Well, here's your answer. Yeah, but I feel like the thing that's keeping Scarlet from being really good is purely just the fact that it's super hard to judgment, and the fact that you have to ditch your whole entire hand, which besides fruit, we don't really have a way besides just paying with her ability, and if you shackles her, then that's
Well, there's also the fact that you have to play. You could also play an opponent that has strictly just hand control. I mean, we know people who just do that.
Mm-hmm.
which
And-
is how like I typically want to play hand control with her, or because if I'm discarding cards, or if I'm playing cards and discarding your cards, when we have 0 cards in hand, I should probably win.
Yeah, and as I was discussing with you a few days ago with that very shady list that I sent to you, that was just me joking around. But in all seriousness, I think if I were to run Scarlet, my immediate baseline would be 4 scoring, 4 nameless, 4 thought control, because they not only double as like hand control, but they double as board control too. So in the event that, you know, either A, you don't have a hand, or B, I need to get stuff off your board, I can now pitch those cards and many others to start getting rid of your board, but I'm still heading towards my goal of getting to no hand land.
Yeah.
And once I get to no hand land, then we start turning over and then turning sideways.
Mhm.
And that's what I like to do. But, you know, there are other cards you need to run with that as well. Even then, as you were saying, her defense is really low. So once you start going, you need to be going good,
Mhm.
or else things might not turn out well.
And you know, while we're on the topic of red and black rulers, I feel that, you know, Freyla could be, you know, I personally feel that Freyla could be a sleeper since she's gotten Lily added to her collection of arsenal. But the thing with her is, I don't think she has enough to compete with stuff like Sherry and Keurig and Shayla, because Shayla can just stall her out, Keurig can rush her down, and Sherry can just, you know, rip stuff out of her hand off the field. And, you know,
It's not even that. It's the fact that there's a story chant that just lets you remove the grave. And since
Yeah.
that's how Lily works,
It's a one drop
either
back.
in response to you playing Lily, or if I have priority, I'm going to make sure I know when you're going to play or when you're going to try and use their ability. And right before them, I'll play it and you can't chase to it. So I'm just going to play it right before, or actually, I typically do it right as they play Lily, if there's enough Dark Elves in grave.
and you
What's that
know,
card called?
it's just, you know, we come to a part where now we're trying to keep everything together. Like, everything is trying to be more tribal, more, you know, close niche. But, you know, some cards still would depend on other cards from other states. Like, you know, all the rare cluster cards are still dependent on Lapis. But there are other, you know, different color cards in the set. Like, you know, there's like red pandas, white pandas, blue pandas, white pandas, as an example. Moving on to the topic is like, I just feel like, you know, if you don't have green in your deck, you have a less chance of actually, you know, being able to win. Because, you know, we got stuff like Ferris Spell, we got stuff like Millennial Bond. Even though Millennial Bond is blue-green, it can still cancel a card that's being played that turn, and it lets you draw a card. So I feel that, you know, there's some really powerful stuff out there that can slow down decks and, you know, prevent them from playing the game. Which, you know, that's the whole point of Force Will, is how can I prevent my opponent from doing what they are needed to do.
So the reason why you just didn't mention Laura, Rachel, Melfi, and Sacred Elf.
But we don't see Sacred Up anymore now that, you know.
Oh,
So
that's not true.
no, I was going to say we don't
That's not
see.
true.
Does Lumia still run Sacred Elf?
Not as much,
It's not as popular.
if at all.
It's not.
And
as popular.
Melfi just helps you color fix a little bit better, and you don't need as much since you're not going to shoot for command. So you don't need Sacred Elves as much, but if you run them, like 2 to 3 of, it's not the worst thing in the world.
And can I
because
just
it's free
talk
mana.
about how I had an incident where I was playing against someone that used Lorette on me, And I have misplayed on my part because, I thought that circle of protection, 0 circle of protection, prevented you from being targeted by Laurite. But lo and behold, after the game got done, it's targeting the ability, which is really cheap in my opinion. But that's just how green works in this game.
No, I mean Prism worked the same way because it's targeting. It's the same reasoning as to why you can't cancel it with when secluded, because it's the ability, not the resonator or card itself.
Isn't that how the Prison of the Lunar Lake used to work when you have
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. That fault.
Like,
Yep, it is very interesting interaction. That's how you were able to stop the pain in the butt that was hooked. Was even if they tried to protect the body, it got past that and got rid of him, which was ultimately what you wanted to do. And as we saw in the hook meta, we saw plenty of Prison in the Lunar Lakes being ran in blue decks because it was an effective way of stopping him. And other abilities too. That wasn't the only ability it stopped. There were obvious ones like him and other enters, but there were some nuanced abilities you could stop, like Lancelot.
Mhm.
You could actually kill a Lancelot with Lunar Lake.
This comes from me since I came in towards the end of Legacy Lost, going into the next set during Lapis. But I know that Roderick, Twee, and Sam, were you playing around the same time as me, or were you playing before me, Twee?
Way earlier.
Oh yes,
Way
Way earlier.
Wait, okay.
I came in
Usually
before
before me.
all y'all.
Well,
Let's be honest. I came in right before Grim Cluster. Or the Holoset had just dropped. We didn't start playing until Grim.
But how was the meta game for when you guys were playing? Even though back in the day before Lapis,
Blast.
how bad?
Blast.
How
Oh my God.
bad was it? Was it because I've heard the rumors and the legends of the so-called Baja Blast and how he just ran through everybody at
To
the
be
time.
fair, I never played against Baja. Well, I played against it once, but it was never competitive. Like he played competitively during that time, but I didn't play.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as I know, for Grim Cluster meta, I think it was Abdul was a huge one because the infinite loop. What else?
What infinite loop are you referring to? Because I wasn't there for Grim Cluster.
So Abdul's one of his things is he can stop a continuous effect, if I remember correctly.
Think about
So
that.
you got rid of is it Necronomicon?
Necronomicon.
And you would loop Wall of Silence infinitely. So you would basically try to make sure your opponent can never play a spell, which means anything.
I don't remember that.
I remember the first time I went up against Law of Silence. That was a very new experience for me. I remember. As a matter of fact, it was shortly after. No, it was actually before I left my house in a pent of rage to go buy that Sylvia. But I'll talk about that in a minute. And
The day that Roger met his wife Sylvia. That's the story that I would never get tired of hearing.
So I remember that I was trying to make my Valentina 1.0 deck better, being the noob scrub that I was. So I went to this card shop nearby, and they had a bunch of stuff from Alice and Grim Cluster up. But I bought a bunch of Alice Cluster things, like some Heras, etc. And I remember the shop owner. He asked me if I wanted to play a game, and I was like, sure, I'll go ahead and test out the new cards. And he was telling me that he hasn't touched his deck in a while, and that it's not completely up to date, but it's relevant. So I was like, okay, sure. This was also my first run-in with Reflect Refrain, and I can tell you that
no one can see you.
I can
No,
I can tell you that it was I can't even put into words because it was crazy, man. I tried to play spells, and then he'd be like, in response, I'll cast Lost Silence. I was like, oh, cool. What does this card do? And so I was like, so what does it mean I can't play spells? Oh, you can't play any cards at all. So
I have a question. Was Law of Silence green?
Of course it's green.
Of course it's
green.
Of course the one busted card during that time period was green.
Your opponent cannot
Why
play
don't we pull it
spells
up?
for the rest of the turn.
Yeah, pull up Law of Silence. I never heard of this card. Again, it was one of those cards that I knew about, but no one really went into detail about it.
10 for good reason.
Good old Lost
I like
Silence. I'll read it
Morgion
out
should not have been
to
banned.
I'll read it out to everybody here at the table, even though we know what it does. Target player cannot play normal spells and summon spells until end of turn. Normal spells include things like addition, regalia, chants, etc. Summon spells are resonators for you, Bryson, before they switched over to new terminology. If this card resolves,
You don't play.
I'm gonna let you guys know
You
right
can use
now.
abilities.
I am the fresh meat of the group,
So would you-
so I get a lot of hate.
would it surprise you that I actually won that game? And it took pure genius in order
Because
to.
you're a good player.
Well, it was also because I actually drew into the Harris I needed. And so
Yeah.
remember, Reflect Refrain loves their orbs. I read that orb and I read that card and I said, this looks bad. So I went ahead and just threw down every hero I drew into, regardless if it was a good idea or bad idea, because at the end of the day, I did not want them to have their
So
orbs.
I have a big question.
Mhm.
Why is Orb banned?
Why is Orb banned? Because doesn't it make Reflect Refrain like overpowered?
Shackles stops her front side, and the last day of the week Dragonoid. I'm not perfect.
Oh, the green spell.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
It's like
Last day of the
anti-counters.
Dragonoids. I think.
Anti-counters. So I judgment. I remove the counters, and it does nothing. I personally feel like Reflect Refrain.
So I have a question.
balance.
What? Just be honest. Since you play Reflect Refrain, what turn do you kill people on?
The last time I played, it was turn 5 or 6.
Okay.
She's not nearly as fast as she is, and that was back when I had Gwen.
And I don't mean to interject. I just wanted to point out that it seems that Jeff is in our stream. So
Hey, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
yeah, I had noticed it while I was in mid discussion. I just didn't get a chance to point that out. Hey Jeff, how's it going? This is the start of our podcast. It's a little rough around the edges right now, but we're trying to get things set up. This is a bit of a pilot episode as we run the waters.
But you would kill people at turn 5 or 6, like, and what the I don't know what her regalia did. Like, you bring up the regalia.
It does 3 things. The first one is tap, add a magic counter to your J/ruler.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was tap, remove a counter, and
I think it's draw a card.
if your J ruler has no stats, you can recover it,
Mm-hmm.
and if you can pay 1 green, tap, remove 2, and draw a card.
Yep.
And a question is, how quickly
Good
did
job.
you get these counters on your ruler?
So I was one of the lucky few that would draw 2 to 3 in my starting hand completely by accident after mulligans.
The real king of
So
No.
I kid you
Top
not.
deck king.
real top deck king.
3
Right
games
there.
in a row, I started off with 2 in my hand, and my first 2 draws were of the orbs. So I was able to stack them really, really fast,
Mm-hmm.
and then just judgment and start to bounce or cancel whatever they did. So I was lucky enough to play it to its full.
I'd just like to point out that Jeff actually did reply to us. Thanks for replying, Jeff. Jeff says that RR's issue is gross consistency. With multiple orbs, you can tutor nearly every turn while also leaving counters open.
So stuff like the 1-drop green spell, even though you can remove the counters off of her regalia just won't give it back. So it's just a cycle. It's just a war of nutrition at that point.
And I haven't played with R after the ban list. I still need to do it to actually do this stuff, but I just don't know how. Like with those 2 counters out there, I don't know how she can stay relevant, because anytime she would try to be relevant, Shackles shuts down her front side, which is I think most of her consistency.
Can you
And
bring up
if you
the
go to judgment to your
front side for me?
backside,
Sure.
in response to judgment, I just remove all your counters, and then I have to immediately flip back on the beginning of your turn because I can't do anything. So I don't know, but I'd have to do testing to fully know for sure. But I do agree with you, Jeff, the fact that she's
I think
very consistent.
I think for Shackles is a good check to her as long as you're running blue. The Dragonoid spell though, I would actually I'm really in the camp of I can't say for sure whether or not like I think the ban was fantastic or not. It really makes me no difference, but I can say that I would treat the Dragonoid card versus Reflect Refrain how I treat it versus Keurig. It honestly doesn't affect the card as long as I can keep getting those back. And with Keurig, usually when people like play that card against me, I'm actually not worried about them stripping my counters unless I flip, but I usually try to stay away from flipping as much as possible. I'm actually concerned about them canceling my fire chance, which is something that you can do with that card. for reflect refrain with orb, being able to lose those counters, but then get them back, even if you won't have as many as you did before, you'll get them back to some extent. I think that mitigates the amount of impact that card could have
Mhm.
on reflect.
But I also feel like Kirk has more cards to gain counters because
Yes,
besides
PD.
orb, I know that there's an elf 3/4 drop 6/6 that gives 2 to 3. I don't remember perfectly, and I think there's a couple more cards, but they're vastly over cost and low stats if I remember correctly. So she doesn't have a way to gain them besides turning back over and then gain them one by one without her orbs. So I don't know. Like I should probably start doing testing more often, and try and rebuild her to what she used to
So
be.
Jeff went ahead and replied more. He extended off of the initial comment that he said about reflect refrain, in which you would gain 3 to 4 counters again each turn. And as it is now, RR is a choice, but it has a real drawback now, which is something I like to see in cards. I like to see cards that are strong and they have their usefulness, but I also like to see them have holes that can be exploited, even for the cards that I like.
Like low riding the enter of Kirik after you.
Yeah,
shift the
so
counter.
that's an interaction that I hate, but I like at the same time, because of course I don't like it in the sense that dang, you're stopping me from getting my counters or God's Art and things like that. But at the same time, to be honest with you, if you weren't able to stop me from getting that stuff, oh man, I would have a slightly different deck list than I do now. But because of that card, I had to consider it as a threat.
And that's kind of why I like Time Spinning Witch a little more, because I feel
See you,
that
Jeff.
by
Bye,
Jeff, by Jeff, I feel that everything became a whole lot even. A lot of things became, I wouldn't say a little like it's still kind of unfair, but it's gotten fair to some point. Low tier decks have a chance to beat higher tier decks. Like a Panda can go against a Lumia and be a close match. That's how I feel about it. But once one side gets an edge or a slight advantage over them, then one plane falls apart while the other plane starts to succeed in the emotion, and then it comes up to the player to be like, okay, how can I turn this game back around to my favor? And I do like that. What we got with Time Spin, which is like a lot more balanced, in my opinion.
Snow Fox, which is great.
That's something that I'm also surprised about. What is Fox? Like, why
You
did
can't
he
play without Griffin.
You
It's
can't-
literally
it's-
you just cannot. And then even in Wander, they banned Griffin and
Was Griffin banned in Wander?
Yeah.
Griffin was banned in Wander and
Wow.
Demonic Dead.
I can understand Demonic Dead.
I was so sad with
I would have
Demonic
kept
Dead.
Griffin in Wanderer.
Okay.
No,
okay.
you
no.
don't want Griffin and Wanderer.
Gretel gets me a stone. Lilia's Petal gets me a stone. Griffin gets me 2 stones. I can sack off a 2/2 Gretel to get me that Griffin.
Okay.
It's I'm gonna stone ramp faster than you could ever mana ramp with Sacred Elves and as such.
Funny thing, I remember when the ban list dropped, I was really surprised when Guinevere got banned. That was something that I was like, wait a minute, hold up.
So I've spent a decent amount of time thinking about this, and I completely agree with it, just because of the fact that Guinevere was the thing that if you had it on board and you had something else, anything that they would ever target to kill, you just go, okay, tap, banish whatever your target was, draw 2 cards, discard a card. Now, what you spent 2 mana trying to kill something, so you're spending 2 mana for me to draw 2 cards and discard a card from hand, and tap a Resonator. The mana just isn't. It didn't make. It was just too good, and then the fact that she can technically buff stats. It's not the best ability, but it can get you games. I've seen it happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, and then especially with Rook Egg and Redcap, like I don't want to know like how vastly certain I could just aggro out someone with that.
Oh,
I
that
miss
would
the
be.
days of Guinevere. She
that
was
was- that's
a
kinda-
faithful companion.
You know what? That's kind of dirty. I'm over Red Cap, Rook Egg, and Guinevere.
Oh, to recover the Guinevere.
Yeah, it just keeps sacking.
Rook Egg. That's tap, finish, draw, tap, finish, draw. Sorry, search.
Search.
Draw.
Or
discard.
if you just have 2 Resonators on board, if all you have is Gwen and Rook and you really want to have that hand stacked, tap, banish, sack the egg, search for egg, draw your cards, discard card, recover, sack, win, draw 2, discard a card. Oh, you lose 2 bodies, but you gain so much card advantage plus a fire resonator, which is usually going to be Lancelot, Sylvia, Mad Boar, Piggy. Insert speed here. So
you forgot
Athena.
Athena.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm talking about 2 drops.
Oh, 2 drops.
If we're talking about 3 drops, then Freyla's a good one too. If we're talking about Melgus, Priscia, Pursuit of Exploding Flame, Athena, the Vingo Sylvia, man.
Hold on, I like to point out right now that this man right here, just on the top of his head, named that Priscia card up. That tells you how much that card was a pain in everybody's butt. We get to play against it.
That tells you how much I've been playing red.
Speaking of which, by the way, since I know we been going on for a little while, but we haven't properly introduced ourselves. My name is Bryson. I'm currently playing the Panda build. I started after Legacy loss, and my very first ruler going into the game was 0, and I was playing. Sorry, I wasn't playing 0. I was playing Rhea because at the time we didn't know what a Rhea was.
Actually, you played the very first card you played was Narlathotep.
You're right. It was Narlathotep. Then I switched to 0 in the round table.
You went Narlathotep, Fire Dragon from Vingo 3, then 0, then Lumia, then I can't remember where it went off after that.
Lumia,
also, you bought the Valentina 1.0 starter deck.
I did, but I never played her. After Lumia, it was Priscia because I pulled Priscia at the pre-release. Then I played Priscia. I'm like, this ruler is too overpowered. I'm gonna go play something different because I'm an idiot like that. And I ended up going to Gil Lapis 2.0, which I had to build the red, black, white version of Gil Lapis 2.0. Played that for a little bit and then moved on. I can't remember what I played at the Gil Lapis. I think I played. I think I went back to Lumia for a little bit, and then I left the game, and then I came back for the beginning of Rare Cluster, and then during Rare Cluster I was playing Glorious / Faria because she's just a more fair version of Ayu, and then I'm currently now. You Sam, come on! You can't look at me and tell me that Faria at her time was a fair Ayu.
What? No. Because Ayu has a Faria has a good Godzilla, but Ayu gets to search.
Yeah,
in a sense.
I wish I had that.
Searching
I wish I had that Godzilla in my Faria at the time, but you know that's
what time frame are we discussing? The time frame that you had her built, or the time frame she came out?
The time frame I had her built.
Okay.
And then now I've moved on to playing pandas, and I'm having a little fun with them, even though it's an uphill battle with them every day.
So I am Sam. I started playing.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, Sam.
And I'm addicted to Force of Will. My addiction started back when a friend showed me. I actually bought a couple packs from Grim. Didn't play it much. Played with a friend once, twice. Then we just kind of stopped. And then another friend really got into it about the time that A2 came out. So I was looking at him. I pulled a couple packs. I actually pulled a stamped RR, which began my RR addiction. That's not a joke. It really is an addiction now.
You just spend so much money on this game.
I can tell.
But my first box that I actually bought, and I bought at least one box since then, it was, I originally bought the box for A3, and what really got me into it was Lapis, and I just absolutely love the idea of a God's Art where I get to search my opponent's deck, take a Resonator, a Regalia, an addition field, and just keep it as my own. So I really love Control since then, and getting to see my opponent's hand and deck was still one of my favorite things to do, and I really need to rebuild them now. But what made me love the game was the fact that I opened up my first box, and I opened one of the packs, and I was like, a full art Regalia in the front. That's weird. It's almost like it's a God pack. I fan out the cards, and I'm like, it is a God pack.
That's your first bet?
First box.
I never mentioned this, but Sam mentioned back when he opened up his God pack. But when I had started getting into the game, I had ended up buying the Narlathotep.
Oh no.
The Narlathotep starter deck, and me and Roger go on the way to the train station to drop him off, and I got impatient because I was really hyped to stop playing the game. So Roger took the box from me, opened up the box, and the first card that came out of the box was an Uber Mercurius. Till this day, Roger's been trying to get the Mercurius off my hands because it technically is his, but I technically bought
No,
it.
it's technically yours. You bought the pack, man.
Yeah.
I just opened it for you.
Yeah, and you almost killed me.
It's not like I'm mad or anything.
Infuriation.
It's like when I handed him Bryson that pack got the Uber Keurig in it.
Yeah.
I've never opened an actual Uber, and I always hand the pack to someone on my right. He was on my right.
And,
Oh.
and then Sam always has
So
the and then Sam is our supplier. He buys our boxes for us, and when we give him the money, and every box that I've ever gotten up Sam has the guard pack in it, and he just looks at me in disappointment.
I've never had a God pack either.
You never had a
Because
guard
every
pack?
time I
Wow, I've had like 2 or 3 of them.
I pulled like
Right to the heart.
2 from I pulled 3 total from Rhea, I think, and I pulled what was it? One of the Lapises, I pulled like 3 in total. It was the luckiest time I've ever had, but it's like really bad SRs at the time.
You want to go next?
Does Tweed want to introduce herself?
Nah, I'm okay.
You okay?
I'm a guest.
You're a guest, but you're going. She's our guest for every week.
I'm a weekly guest. I'm not always here.
So she's an interloper. I see.
No. Everyone has to slowly piece together her start in every deck that she's played throughout the weeks, and then they're eventually gonna have a chart with everything that has to
Are
do with
people
it.
gonna actually do that though?
No.
Let's be honest. No one has
no
actual
one's
time to
that
actually
obsessed.
People have time.
obsess about
It's just
who I
hard not
am.
to.
I'm okay with this.
I will inform everyone though that she is the residential bunny player. She can find over 700 different ways to annihilate you with rabbits. I can confirm this, but
Didn't you have a friend that quit playing because of
I'm so
because she
sorry.
beat
Yes.
him with bunnies?
So
yes, and
sorry.
he was watching a stream not too long ago. He may or may not still be watching it, but it's okay, Frankie.
I'm so sorry, Frankie.
No, I don't like he after that's the sole reason why rabbits got changed to beasts. It's because the things that this woman can do with rabbits is probably scary.
But I'll
I
say
good soup with rabbits too, though.
I'll say it's karma. It's karma though for what he did to me. I guess that segues into me, and I get to tell everyone the story about how I started playing aggro. Aggro was not a choice; it was mandatory. So
It's a choice now, though.
I love that choice. But to everyone, you've probably seen me on the US page a little bit. I am Roderick Sykes. I am the residential aggro player. I am going sideways all the time. I am rotating rectangles. No one is ever at 4,000 life, neither me or my opponent. Unless I'm playing against Tree, then I force them to not be at
If it wasn't so
4,000 life.
true, I'd be laughing more.
So I'm gonna tell you straight off the bat right now, my favorite ruler is Sylvia for very legitimate reasons. And I can promise you it has nothing to do with the fact that I like dragon ladies. But what I will tell you is that I was a very angry person at the time. So how I got into the game was back when I was working at AMC. I remember I was on the train to work one day and I had plenty of time to kill. It was a couple hours before my shift. I didn't want to be sitting in the theater all morning. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop by. I'm gonna just check out this comic book store. And they were selling these cards. They're called Force of Will. And so I was like, oh, this is kind of new. I've heard of this game before, but I've never really gotten into it. I think I'll check it out. So I asked the shopkeep, for a couple of decks. So I look at them and I read them and I'm like, all right, I have no idea what's going on. I'm gonna just pick the one that I find the most appealing. So I chose Valentine. For reasons. And
For very large reasons. Let's be
love
honest.
Love and jealousy, right?
well, I
Love and
chose her for
jealousy.
2 reasons. Okay. I will not disclose one of those reasons, but the second reason I chose her was because the previous card game that I'm coming from is Pokemon, and my favorite type in Pokemon is water. And so I'm like, well, I love water. Fish are my friends, not food, unless I'm hungry. So I wonder if water is the same thing in this game. Let's find out. So I buy the deck, and I get back on the train, headed for work. And I'm sitting here and I'm reading the cards and I'm reading the little instruction booklet. And I'm like, wow, this seems cool. I had nobody to play with. So I convinced my friend, to pick up the game. so he can buy one of the starter decks. And I showed him what the different ones were, and he was like, okay, this looks cool. So a couple days after that, he ends up getting the game too, and he bought the Prisia starter deck. And so I'm like, cool, we finally got starter decks. Let's play, let's fight, and stuff like that. And I cannot tell you how many times he had obliterated me. Well, they were unedited starter decks, and he just annihilated me. That was both because we were still getting used to the game. There were a ton of misplays, I can tell you that much. But overall, I was getting stomped. So we went and bought some packs, and then we made edits. And I got stomped harder. So I went, and the whole story about Reflect Refrain happened, got some Heras, came back. I lost again. So I said, you know what? I'm getting tired of this. I got up one Saturday morning. I hopped on a bus to the nearest card shop, the same shop that I've got the Heras and stuff from. I went, and on my way there, I'm like, I wonder if they have any cars I might like. I like dragons. So I go to the Force of Will database and I type in dragons. And it gave me a list of cars. So I'm going through. Actually, in one of the database, it was the Wikia page. So I'm going through, I'm clicking one by one. And, this is back as soon as like Balfrat Arachnia came out. So my list of dragons was set. And so I'm the Black Guy has subscribed. Thank you. I'm the Black Guy. And so I'm looking through the list and I come across this one card in particular.
And here we go. Like, hey, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to be.
So I'm reading this card, right? And I'm just telling you like how I felt about this card. So I'm reading, I'm like, Sylvia Gil Palabubla. I don't know how to read that name. I know how to read it now. It's Palarius. But so I'm reading it and I'm like, Judgment for Fire, Wind, and 2 Void. Why is it so expensive? That's too much. Remember, Valentina has a flip of 2. So I'm like, wow, I got to pay twice as much? That's not cool. And it's like Fire Magic Stones you control, gain, tap, produce, wind. I'm like, oh, that's pretty nice. So my Fire Magic Stone can produce wind. I wonder what her J-Ruler side does. And now I'm reading it, I'm like, flying and swiftness, that's sick. When this card enters the field, it deals 1,000 damage to target J Resonator. I'm already like sold. And then I see the part where it talks to us about like how she deals when she deals damage and destroys something. I get to untap stones. I cannot tell you how fast I composed a temporary deck list. I went into that shop. I said, do you have a Sylvia card? He says, yes, we have one. I'm buying it. I would like this green deck box. I would like that Sylvia playmat, and I would like a playset of every card that came out for her in the Twilight Wanderer. And then I went back to my friend's house that day. And I showed him who's boss. And ever since then, I have been playing red-green.
So funny story about the him and Sylvia. When I started playing the Zero in the Roundtables deck, I had the misfortune of playing against the Sylvia deck, and I'm sitting here like, yo, dog, this deck is cheap, but I like it because I was getting my butt kicked by a deck that was actually pretty cool. But at the time, there was this little lolly by the name of Dark Alice that kind of ruined every single hope I had for this game. Like, yo, dog, do you understand how many times I lost to Dark Alice back in the day? I never beat it. I beat it once, all because my opponent called 2 when I had a 1-drop and a 3-drop on the board.
But you weren't playing the residential like Dark Alice player of our locals.
What's up? But what'd you say, Sam?
The fact that Daniel wasn't the one piloting it.
We know Daniel is like hands down. I'm gonna give a shout out to our
top
friend.
deck of the century. Daniel.
Hold on. I'm gonna give a shout out to our friend Daniel. He's not here with us, but he may be watching this at a later date. But I want to give him a big shout out because I got my revenge. Oh boy, did I get my revenge against Dark Alice. So at the time, I remember I did not like losing to Dark Alice. I did not like the card. I thought the card was really cheap. And our friend was like, he got to a point where he loved that card and he understood how it worked. He knew how it functioned, and he made that deck work for him. So legit, one day I was looking at Gil Lapis 2.0, and I'm like, I can remove my opponent's graveyard into the remove area and I can use his cards against them. And there was one card particularly in that Dark Alice deck.
Please tell me a Seal of Wind and Light.
I used Seal of Wind and Light against him, and he was like, yo, dog, what the heck do I do? And I beat Dark Alice, and I was happy with my life at that point. That was the only reason why I played Gil Lapis 2.0.
You should feel proud, Sam. Bryson used your favorite character to beat one of the most annoying rulers of that format, and he did it out of somewhat accidental but pure stroke of genius. He's like, wait, if I use your cancel against you, then you can't play cards.
Can I just say, like, Lapis is one of my favorite rulers, and that both of his rulers just use your opponent's cards. I mean, a God Side that lets me look through your deck and take things, and the Lapis 2.0 Rebel just allowing me to like look at your remove from play area, which I'm going to put all of your grave in there, and just go, yes, that's quite a nice Seal of Wind and Light. I'm just going to use it. On my turn, though, I'm just going to play your hook for you. You know, my hook now. And I'm just going to constantly win with your cards.
So another thing about Gil Lapis 2.0 and the deck that I built at the time. Again, me, my stroke of being dumb and being like, I hate this deck so much. How can I beat it? I had happened to stumble across the 4-drop Valentina, the red-black 2 void. And I'm like, wait a minute. Hold up. You mean to tell me that if I remove one card from my opponent's area, I gain swiftness or precision? And if I keep removing cards in sets of 3, it's now a beast stick that's pretty much swinging for your life. So at the time, we had people running Dark Alice, and I'm like, I can use that. But the one deck that I really loved Valentina in was going against Big Freaking Daddy. I'm like, yo, keep throwing them cards in that graveyard. Keep throwing the cards in the graveyard, because I will love to use your cards against you. And you know, I had fun with Gil Lapis, but the only issue that I ran into Gil Lapis in that time frame of that period was I had to run white, and we didn't have a good way of having card removal. We had good card removal with Valentino. She removes a 2-drop or less. We had his effect that can remove a card. If a card was going to be sent to grave, it'd be sent to remove area instead. So we had stuff like that. But the deck slowly depended on Barrier Seal. If you didn't, not Barrier Seal. What was the name of the good? It's red white. It's not. It's red white.
Are we talking about the red white edition that removes graveyard?
Yes,
that's
Barrier
Barrier
Seal.
Seal.
Barrier Seal. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
right.
I keep thinking of Neo Barrier Shadows for some stupid reason.
That's also a good thing to run
Name
now.
all editions barrier of some kind. Great idea.
Barrier
Good
Shadows,
job.
Neo Barrier Shadows, Barrier Seal, and then there's
The keyword barrier, just look it up.
Yeah, barriers. Even barriers.
but now there's a.
All right, let's look it up, boys. Let's see. Things that are named barrier. Neo Barrier Shadows, Sisay, Precious Barrier, Ancient Barrier, Barrier Seal, Barrier Flame, Barrier Shadows, Barrier Field.
But yeah.
Honorable mentions are Hero's Bracelet that gives barrier, and Zero Circle of Protection that also gives barrier.
But yeah, you were kind of forced to run Barrier Seal in the deck and run the right variation. And that's what kind of made me mad, is that at the time we had this other card called Wall of Wind. I'm like,
Best card in the game.
I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna play this 4-drop, pay one more will, but I ain't got no more will. Then you ain't playing that card, sir.
Making people play off curve since when did that card come out? Moonlit Savior?
A2, yeah.
A2?
A1 or A2?
Oh, I thought it was Moonlit Savior. Let's find out.
No, you're right. You're right. It was A3. Yeah, you're
Moonlit
right.
Savior.
Yeah, A3.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, at that time I ran into some issues, but then that's when the dreaded card named Seven Rings got printed to kill a certain deck, but turned out to be a more problematic thing that we had saw in the future.
Oops.
BMV, printed to kill RR. Wait a second. RR plays it better than anyone else. Oh no. RR is too good again. So yeah. RR
They're
is.
doing the thing where they make cards that are a lot stronger than what they should do, but
That's something we could talk about for like another day.
So
when we,
Severing
go-
Wins. Overpowered card.
Yeah, that's something we can go into more detail in the future about how we feel about misprinting and overcard, stuff like that.
Everything.
Well, it is 9:10. We've been on this stream for quite some time.
surprising, right? I didn't think we can talk for that long.
We can. We know each other well enough to keep a
We can
conversation
talk for a
going.
very long time.
True.
Unfortunately, we didn't get started as early as we wanted to, and in the future, this stuff is going to be done much earlier. It was a little rough around the edges, though, but now that we know how to get this stuff set up, we will be a lot faster with this. And really, from this point on, it's a continuing discussion. So we'll just come back next time talking about new things and things like this or whatever it comes across. We do have GPs coming up soon, though. So hopefully the next time that we do the podcast, we can talk a lot about the results of those GPs and kind of give our thoughts on where the meta is heading. I actually have some ideas on who I think might win the GP. I personally think Lumia Rachel is a shoo-in for top contender, but I also do believe that Scarlet has some potential.
I completely agree with Lumia Rachel. I feel that Benjamin did a great Benjamin and Zappini, I believe, were the two that topped at the GPs with the Sherry list. I feel like both of them were, of course, really good pilots and made a really good deck. But I feel like the Temple Sherry list can be countered now that it's known, and Lumia Rachel was already planning on how to counter Sherry, so it doesn't take a lot for it to figure out how to beat those two decks. And aggro's probably its weakest matchups, at least from what I've been testing, but I feel that it can get around it, because it's playing white, of course, and black. You can just discard the cards early on, negate damage, and then just wipe their board final battle, and then just stack their deck until they have nothing left and win from there.
Yep.
I like to also go on the point and say that, I do feel that, Sherry and Lumia will be at least somewhere in the top 8. I do feel that maybe Ayu might beat her, but I don't think she hasn't been, as good since Time Stain Wish has been dropped.
I feel like Ayu definitely has a chance, but I feel like it's not easy to pilot. I only know a couple people offhand that I know that can pilot it to that degree. But I do agree with Roderick and Scarlet. I think Scarlet can get there. It's just judgmenting is hard, but past the judgmenting.
Yeah, it's going to come down to really finding out how to, what's her sweet spot. I think once people find out her sweet spot, she's going to be a very annoying ruler to play against. And I think another ruler that has a chance is, and we've seen this potential recently, is Keurig. And I'm totally not promoting promoting my boy.
No, but
in all
to be honest, I mean, ever since you got your second place at the ARG, you've been like, yeah, Keurig.
Well, let's be fair here. I've been on Keurig hype train for a long time now.
I just have to point out, I didn't get to play you that day, and
Yes.
I beat you the very next day with the headache.
Yes, you did.
I should have gotten second.
Congratulations, but
but
all
could have gotten second.
But
Could've gotten second.
all jokes aside, looking at Keurig and what he has gotten in Time Spinner Witch, we don't know what Rhea is gonna do in the next set, but right now, Keurig is a problem, and I wish anybody the best of luck going against that.
Well, I
deck.
don't think he's necessarily a problem.
Rush is the problem. They get so much rush support.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think Keurig in and of himself is a balanced ruler, and that's kind of why he doesn't consistently top, is because he's in a format where there are things that are not as balanced as he is. But I do think with the package that we have now, you're able to get away with things. And as we saw, you can run a Keurig list without green and be successful. So I think that he definitely has a chance. One of the reasons being that, Sherry really can't deal with him if you just rush him down. Sherry does have an anti-aggro package, but how much of that package are you willing to put in against this one matchup and then lose to him? So that's what I feel. So we are out of time, it seems. So that is it for today's podcast, but we will be back next Saturday, not this Saturday. We will be quite busy this weekend. We're doing the pilot today, but we will be back next Saturday discussing more about what's going on. And as I said, about the GPs and whatnot. So for those that came out to listen, thank you for stopping by. And for those that catch this recording, thank you for watching. please subscribe to the channel and stay in touch.
Oh, don't cry. We'll be back next week.
For people
Yeah,
that
yeah.
are, going to watch this later in the day, be sure to give us feedback. Let us know what you think about our channel. Let us know what we can do better from this point on. We love reaching out to the community. We love listening to people and getting feedback and knowing what you guys want or what your opinions are on the matter. And we would like to keep that going in the future.
And give us suggestions. Like, drop it in the comments below or something. I don't know.
Yeah, scream at us. Talk to us in the comments.
Yeah.
Be like, what's Sam's favorite color on Sunday? I don't know.
On Sunday,
And,
I would have to say it's probably black or white. It depends on where the sun
Isn't that
is.
just your soul?
Yes.
It's either black or white. I don't know.
But
maybe
yeah,
both? No.
Again,
Gray,
for people
probably.
out there who are a part, who have a Facebook account, there is a Facebook group on the US page. Be sure to join that. You can reach out to us. My name is Bryson Rogers. We have Roger Sykes. We have Sam. Sorry.
No. We're tagged. Most of us are tagged on Roderick's original post, so you can talk to Roderick, Bryson, or myself. We love to talk to people and see what they think about the podcast and anything that we can improve on. I know that this is probably rough, and we didn't give a lot of warning to the podcast, but we'll try to improve on that.
Yep. And with that said, guys, thanks for coming out.